I don't want to hide that I cry. Like, I don't want to, like, you know, you're kind of raised to be like, don't show pain, don't show emotion, don't show feelings. I'm like, but what happens to them then?
Hi everyone, welcome to a new season of Bdoun Sukkar. I'm starting season number 3. This is my 3rd year, and I'm very happy that I'm still doing it and finding new conversations to talk about. So I want to start this season with actually a journey that I started around a year ago. It's a bit of more self-discovery and something I'm really trying to understand, especially that a year ago I came to the realization that even though I'm quite a feminist, I think I do find weakness in being feminine. And it's through a lot of different healing and different conversations that I understood that maybe my understanding of being feminine and masculine is not the most correct one, which I don't like to admit. Today I have a guest who's actually a friend, if he likes to be a friend. No, I'm kidding. We're friends sometimes. But actually we've been having these conversations about what is masculinity, what is femininity, and it's been very eye-opening to hear it from a guy, and a guy who's not from the Middle East. So we have Brendan with us today. Hi, Brendan.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
No, of course. Thank you for coming.
I
So I'm just going to cut straight to it.
Let's do it.
Brendan.
Yes.
What is masculinity? For you.
To me.
Yes, you.
It's masculinity to me. Masculinity to me is a series of traits, mannerisms, characteristics that are often viewed negatively in the extreme, to say the least.
Okay. By who, I wonder?
But to me, it is a assertiveness, a confidence, a competitiveness, a ambition, a drive.
But all of those are positive if you're a man.
Yeah.
They're only negative if you're a woman.
Yeah. I mean, but those are all kind of the base layer. But all of those to an extreme become manipulative and hyper competitive and sometimes abusive or disingenuous. Anything taken too far is going to be a bad thing. Yeah. I think we have been led to let kind of men cultivate masculinity in bad ways.
Yes.
And that has been not called to say, no, you need to bring it back down to.
Yeah, I think it was actually not praised, celebrated to take it to the extreme. And I think that's very also Americanized. You see in a lot of the movies and a lot of the culture, a lot of the corporate life. Like for me, corporate life is a very big masculine representation of success, which I don't agree with. And I think a lot of it, at least from the Middle East, is derived from the US.
Yeah.
And it is you guys are quite praised to be that extreme of masculinity. But
yeah, you're supposed to, you're taking it too far is not really taking it too far as long as the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
Right? Like ambition is not a bad thing until you're screwing people over.
Yeah.
And even then it's not seen as a bad thing unless someone is particularly getting screwed over, and then they're not going to complain about it. Like there being so many billionaire capitalists, no one's like, oh no, they're hyper masculine and overdoing it. No, it's just they're successful.
Yeah.
And they're ambitious and they have drive and they're competitive. They want it when no one else wanted, and they went further than anyone else went. And it's like, nah, they were just kind of doing too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, I've been struggling with is the moment I realized that I've been into my masculine, which has again, I've been trying to really understand what that meant. Is I have been into my masculine for so long because I think for a lot of women, for them to go into that creates an imbalance. And you forget what it is to be feminine. And this is something I'm struggling with right now, even though I'm wearing a dress and I'm trying to be different. And I am.
It looks nice.
Thank you. It's just, I have been leaning way too much into my masculine that I've started to see the feminine in a very negative way. That I realize, or I was brought to realize, unwillingly, that you know, if I didn't go and get it, no one else. And that's quite masculine. And if I was not in a place of receiving, like it could be as simple as giving me a compliment to giving me things in a relationship. I was just, no, that's a weakness and that's so wrong. And I think when you live in this imbalance, it's not a good way to be in. It's not a good place to be in.
Yeah, no, balance is key. And even not taking things to extremes is key.
I love extremes. What are you on about?
It's difficult to challenge yourself on those things.
Yes, especially when you don't see them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had no idea because I've been like, you know, the whole, I'm a feminist, women's right. Then when someone told me, no, you actually see it as a weakness, I'm like,
you see softness as weakness.
Yes. And it's a whole thing, I'm not like other girls. I'm not this. But what does it mean? What's wrong with other girls? And what's wrong with softness?
Right.
You know?
And it's a balance. And it is a balance.
Yeah.
You have to kind of absorb both to really embrace like a full person, I think.
How does that look like for you? So what is absorbing both?
I feel like I have fully accepted my feminine side, my feminine traits.
That's very rare to hear.
Yeah, my feminine soft self.
How does it look like?
For me, it is partly appearance, but it's also how I see myself when I look at myself. Right? And it's the picture that I have of myself in my head and who looks back at me in the mirror that's been the biggest change, or at least growth or progression, I would say. So it took time to even realize that you could have both.
Yes, I agree. Same. Yeah.
Because, I mean, even from very young, I liked sports and I liked cars, but I liked clothes and shoes. And
I don't know why those were removed. You know, like you can't have both.
You can't have both. I was like, why can't I have both? Yeah. Like, but because I liked one, I never thought the other was a negative, right? Like,
okay,
it wasn't, because I liked boy things, even though I liked girl things, it wasn't, I didn't feel like there was like a red flag. Like nothing popped up like, I'm not like other boys because I don't like what they like. But, because I did. I was like, but I like the girl stuff over here. And I want to play dress up too. like I want to like play with the easy bake and I want to like do all the, you know, like I love pink and I love.
And you're such a good cook. You know, and I feel like even cooking, like, it's only steaks and eggs, you know, like, I can do a mean steak. No, but no, you actually cook really well. Which
was even jarring for me because I had gone through like a growth progression of being very young and not really knowing what was up to then growing up and accepting that, you know, I'm just different, that's fine.
Yeah.
To expressing my uniqueness and individuality and how I dress and how I talk and how I act, to then coming here and the first week of me being here, I didn't want to eat, I don't really eat red meat. Being like, what
do you mean?
You don't eat meat?
Yeah, what do you mean? Especially back then, like, was that 5 years ago? 5 years ago, when vegetarian still, or veganism is not a thing yet. Yeah.
You're like, aren't you a man?
Yeah.
It's like, I can challenge that in a lot of ways. It's like, but we'll start with, I don't like eating red meat. I'm not a big meat eater.
Yeah, that's true. When you told me first, I'm like,
yeah.
What do you mean?
I was kind of like, And it was the first time in a while that I felt my sense of self kind of challenged.
Okay.
And it was like a very like micro moment, but I was just like, I don't like that.
Yeah, like remember the incident at work where I was told you were nail polish and everyone was like found it very weird. I was like, oh no, it's cool. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, but back then we had a lot of people who come from traditional backgrounds. They're like, no, it must mean something.
Right. I normally will have my
I find them cool.
nails polished. I've been polishing them for years and years and years and years and years. I love getting manicures. I have, my toes are white right now because it's summertime. I don't have it on today. But it was so funny because when people first started noticing.
Yeah, how was that?
It was, no one said anything to me.
Yeah, no one would.
Unless they were a complete stranger.
It took me a year to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Like, it would be a complete stranger at like a bar or something, or like out at a restaurant, and it would just be like, oh, that's interesting.
And interesting is
it's like
the word interesting.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you polish your nails? And it's like, I like how it looks. And I mean, even my little cousins, I'm coming around, my nails are black. He's like, oh, your nails are black. I was like, yeah. He's like, why? I was like, because black is one of my favorite colors. What's your favorite color?
That's cute.
He's like, blue. I was like, do you want your nails to be blue? He's like, yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
we forget
like,
these things. We just add meaning to it.
Like we've changed things to be things. Like it was not shocking, but even just learning more about how marketing works and how boys are in blue and girls are in pink is a recent thing.
Actually, in Victorian times, boys were in pink.
And dresses.
And
like,
heels.
And heels. And it was until like the mid 1900s when people had to sell more toys, and it was easier to sell more toys and sell more clothes if you had to buy both. If you had a boy and a girl, you had to split the toys. You had to get a boy an action figure, you had to get a girl a doll. Whereas before, you just got everyone the same thing. Toys. And they were like, we need to make more money, so let's make it so that boys are blue, girls are pink. Boys like cars, race cars. Girls like kitchen stuff, so you can't have the same stuff.
Yeah.
So we just kind of got used to that being the case, but there was never gender assigned to anything. Like the me polishing my nails was never a gender based thing. Me having earrings, a lot of earrings, and having a nose ring, that was never gender based. It was it was just something we decided was important to us later.
But how was that received in your community?
It's changed. So being American and being black and being male.
All three tough things.
Some more than others. We are traditionally very hyper masculinized.
Yes.
Like,
and I feel Arabs are as well.
Yeah. Like even going back to slavery we were seen as animals, right? So the big, lumbering, muscular brutes walking around. Yeah. And that was like the stigma that was carried over to Black American males. And that became even stronger when you get into the history about how, as a means to break us, they would do a lot of things to strip you of your masculinity. To particularly the men. So not to get into all of them here, but I mean, hundreds of years of indoctrination and mental abuse and physical abuse to make you feel less than, so that you're easier to control. So
it becomes inferiority complex.
Yeah, and then it's kind of, well, we need to reclaim that. Yes. So now the more modern American black male, they feel they have to go out of their way to show that they are real men. Okay. And
what does that mean? What is real men in that sense?
It means going to the extremes, right? So it means a lot of being territorial, being possessive, being aggressive, all those extremes of masculinity that are in the realm of toxicity are emphasized as a display of I'm a man, I'm a man. You won't talk to me that way. I'm a man. You won't tell me what to do. I'm a man. I'm going to show you that I'm a man.
Arabs are, I mean, it's on the same base, but Arabs are the same where we have to, where like you find a male ego is quite fragile, more fragile than other nationalities from what I see. It's like, I am this. It becomes territorial. It becomes, I have to show that I'm a man. Yeah. Even though no one asked. Right.
and I'm not going to disparage it because it's a trauma response. It's a generational trauma response. Yeah, I understand. And it has gotten progressively different. Like with my generation, I mean, all kudos to my dad because he was just like, do whatever you want. Right?
And it's quite rare.
Yeah, it was very, I'm looking back, I'm like, you weren't supposed to be like that.
You can.
Like, you were not supposed to act like that. But he was like, do whatever you want. Wear your hair long, paint your nails, wear what you want to wear. Yeah. do whatever you want to do.
And especially in that kind of community, that's I think rarer than like in
So I was
white
allowed
community.
to have that freedom of individual expression from very, very young. So I just always kind of grew up just kind of dancing in it. But I see, you know, there was definitely a couple of my friends, we had some conversations where I was like, look, this is...
Did you make them uncomfortable?
I think so. But I think what won out in the end was, I think you have to know someone well enough to... You have to love someone, you have to acknowledge them for who they actually are, not who you want them to be. And I think they just didn't have a lot of exposure to differing people than them. That weren't,
but that's in every community.
that weren't othered, right? And that's like kind of a baseline, right? Like, you're used to who you're used to. And when there's someone who becomes a part of your life who still looks like you and talks like you and acts like you, but they're just a little bit different, then they're like, oh, so actually everyone's just a person at the end of the day. Like,
a lot of people will challenge that.
I mean,
but yeah, you're right.
Like whatever identity you have or whatever gender you have or whatever you want to be or who you are, at the core of it, we're all just people. And once you stop kind of presuming that someone is a certain way that you don't know, then you actually find that out. It's like, oh, okay, we're actually not very different. You know, we may express ourselves in different ways, but ultimately we're the same. So there was it was a period of a little bit of uncomfortability, I think. They didn't really make it seem like that. Like, they didn't make me uncomfortable.
Maybe they didn't even know.
They know.
You know? Okay, fine. They do know. Okay. Some people just don't realize they're being aggressive or they're being triggered for a reason. But okay, they know.
Yeah. And it's funny because even like my brother would be like, I mean, you never had to say anything. It's like, you know, like, it is what it is. Like, we didn't have to have this conversation. Like, it's fine.
But like that, again, that's rare. And all cultures or families to have that acceptance. Like, in a couple of episodes before this, I'm talking about how my brother and I had preferential treatment just because he's a guy and I'm a girl. And that was it. That was the base of that's the basis that they gave me as something I have to deal with. Like, oh, you have different body parts, private parts. That's it. Deal with it. Deal with it. You can. And like, I would put nail polish like at a young age. Why? Take it out, remove it, cover your hair, do this. Like, literally, why? I kept being the person who's just questioning everything. And I think also they're part of the reason why I couldn't even, what's the word? Accept or celebrate being feminine. I didn't grow up with a lot of women. I grew up with a lot of men, actually, and a lot of them presented toxic traits and extreme traits because a lot of them, and I mean, they're not going to like me saying it, but a lot of them had fragile egos where they had to prove their men repetitively. And to a young girl, like, it didn't matter, but they had to create this dominance, you know, this unnecessary dominance, unnecessary, I have something to say about you, unnecessary territory that I ended up taking on and acting that way. I don't know how to act like a secure feminine. And there's a lot of conversation about what is a secure male, what is a secure feminine, and how you reach to that and what does it mean, you know? And on that topic also, that you're both. At the end of the day, you're a person who has both energies. Or both, I don't know, traits. So I'm trying to learn when to bring who out. And it's been tricky. It's been very tricky because, especially from a business perspective, let's say, and this is most of your time, I've been working in soft industries. So now I moved to a more harsh industry. And that gave me also, like, what am I acting like? It gave me a challenge to what person am I representing at the moment. Right. And like in my new place, being feminine is not celebrated. And that's been jarring, you know, because I knew how to be feminine in specific places because I present that way. I look like that. And it's easier just to be that. But by the way I act, the way I behave, the way I fight, the way I speak, it's quite masculine. People tell me you're like, you know, you're headstrong. You just come in strong. And I don't know what that means. And I don't know how to be anything else. So I've been trying to figure out what is being soft. How do you balance it out?
Can I ask you a question first?
Yes.
So is the desire to embrace a more feminine side a reaction to a reaction, or do you feel like it's an actual thing within you that's underexpressed that you need to actively work on expressing?
I think a mix of both.
Okay.
So in my healing and growth journey, I learned that I've been in survival mode. And survival looked masculine because that's what I learned. You know, I have to protect myself. I have to figure it out. I have to be on my own. And I didn't know anything but that. I mean, anything else seemed like a weakness. So once I realized that, oh, no, there's power in the other, and that I've been unrecognizing and unexpressing it, and I've been suppressing it for so long and making fun of it as well. Like for a long time, I realized I was very uncomfortable around feminine women. Very uncomfortable. I felt large, like physically and emotionally and everything. And they're all like so cute and petite and everything. And I'm like, what am I doing here? I don't even know how to sit. You know, like, what do I do? And that made me like realize something's off there. When I coupled it with everything, when I merged it with everything else, I realized something is not right there. And I had to be challenged to see that, hey, it's not weakness. It's knowing what is the strength in it. So it is underexpressed. And I'm trying to enjoy it. And also, if you haven't noticed, I'm quite impatient.
Really?
In case.
You, of all people.
Imagine, right?
Don't say.
No. So it's also finding that patience in me, you know, and acceptance and believing in something else, or not believing in something else, like having faith things will work out and having that strength within you. I didn't know that could be. You know, my strength was always a very expressive way of reclaiming strength. And now I'm reaching a place where the aggression that I love so much, okay, I don't love, but I'm used to, or I default on, is actually getting me in trouble.
Okay.
And I'm sure it's partially because I'm a woman. If you were being that, maybe you would be praised for it.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, if you were showing outbursts, I think you'd be like, oh, he's just, you know, passionate about it. But I'm being emotional.
Right, yeah.
And this is not new, you know. So I feel like, okay, what else can I find within me to do to stop that? So now the masculine is not working for me anymore.
Okay.
So, you know, so I'm trying to find what else is within me that could work and should work, and how should I be? Like, okay, I'm done surviving.
Now what?
Now what?
Yeah.
You know, and I told you this for a while, like, I don't know what I am without my trauma, without my sadness. Like, I would love to see what it is, and I think it lies within that feminine part.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a great answer.
Thank you. Back to you.
Yeah, you asked me a question. How do I balance?
Yeah.
I think that balance is an interesting way to go, because I think that it can seem like it's a seesaw that levels out when really it's not necessarily that. It's like, if I will present in different ways in different environments and scenarios, like work, right, is a very different presentation than when I'm at home or when we're out, or when I'm like at my family's house versus at my friend's house. Someone who I'm in a relationship with versus someone I'm just getting to know. So it's not that it's a 50-50 thing.
You put on a lot of walls.
Yeah.
Now I know why, but it took us a while to get to know each other.
Yeah.
You know, like you put on a lot of walls, and I'm assuming that's the progression.
Yeah, it's part of it. So it'll be, okay, let me give a lot of it of this, and then to taper that off, I'll give a little bit of this, and then sometimes I give a lot of this, and then taper it off, I'll give like a little bit of this. And sometimes the mix is off. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the mix is off, but at the end of the day, even if that's off-putting to someone in the moment, you know very well recent moments where someone was very challenging of me being not super male, and I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be a different person to you because that's what you expect from me to be. I'm going to be me.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I accept and acknowledge that both energies are kind of pushing through me at different times. and just being like, okay, I'm cool with what comes out. As long as it's something I'm happy with, then I'm good. And it was only when I was really imbalanced is when I was like repressing one thing or another.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I was forcing something down was when I was like...
It just doesn't feel good.
No.
You can feel it, like that's not home, no.
Yeah, and I'm like, why am I so angry?
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I so like, why am I... For whose benefit is this? Because it's not mine. It's not serving me. It's not helping me.
Yeah.
So for what? And it was just, am I doing this because it's what's expected of me to be like? Am I supposed to be tough and da-da-da? I'm like, no, I'm really soft. I'm very emotional. I'm a very emotional person. Yeah. I don't want to hide that I cry. I don't want to you're kind of raised to be like, don't show pain, don't show emotion, don't show feelings. I'm like, but what happens to them then? They just get shoved down into a little box that turns...
Then you die really early. That's
dark.
why men die really early.
Negative, and to get heart disease and high blood pressure.
That's why.
Yeah, I don't want to die from an aneurysm because I didn't want to hug my family members. That's crazy to me.
It's like, why did he die? He just didn't get hugs. He just didn't hug his family.
Didn't want to hug anyone.
That is quite sad. But also back to your question, I think... when was it? It was 2021. I went to Cape Town with a bunch of friends and I had a great time. But also it's a moment where I realized that I hide a big part of who I am. And I don't know what am I hiding and why. I'm sure it's a trauma response or response to a lot of shaming or being whoever I was. And I realized that I had a lot of walls as well, even though I come off, let's talk, let's hang out, blah, blah. But I realized in that moment I was sitting with two friends. They're like, so who knows you fully? I said, I don't think anyone does. I don't think so. I think you're seeing parts of me that I'm happy to show. And I feel like that's a muscle as well that you can exercise. But since then, and then everything else I was telling you about, I think that's where it started off. I'm suppressing a big part of who I am. And I don't even know what it is. And I'm looking forward to get to know it. I think, in that place right now or getting to know it. But it's wild.
Okay.
How did I not know? I feel like there's another person exists or I'm not seen. And that adds to the whole I'm not seen or I don't feel seen. And I don't know how to be seen because I don't know what I'm not, You don't
know what you're not showing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for the longest time, I've always been scared of being fully myself. And I think a part of it is that.
I feel like you'd be overexposed.
Yeah. And maybe that's back weakness, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You're the few you are one of the people I just cried in front a few times. We hung out, which I'm so sorry. But that part is I don't show usually. I don't want people to see me crying or, or my outbursts, or I feel a lot of shame when I'm really expressive. Although I'm very expressive, but there are parts of me I don't want people to see that.
Well, to be fair, we both cried in front of each other, so.
I'm sure we did. I'm glad we did.
That's fine. I definitely get that point. As you know, I have my barriers, not barriers, but little gardens and walls that I'm it can come down, but let's get over there together. I kind of feel it's if you were just a house, right, with a lot of different rooms. Some doors are closed, some doors are open, some doors are locked. It's not on me to take you through the whole house, right? It's kind of you come in a certain entrance, you have things that are within eyesight that you may gravitate towards, and that kind of leads you through the rest. I am not going to be have you looked upstairs at that closet at the end?
Did you see the skeleton?
It's
I think, no, I'm not that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're more intentional in the way you get to know people. I'm I think, okay, so I just told this to a friend the other day, is now I changed the way I look at things. I used to think about if I met someone, do I fit in with them or do I fit into their life or whatever? Now I'm do you fit in?
Yeah.
And that changed the narrative completely. So for the longest time, I'm like, hey, did you want to see everything? Are you sure you want to see? Did you see this? Did you mean? So yeah, I think now I'm like, let's take a step back. Let's see if we mesh. Let's see if we align on a lot of things. And then I'll walk you in the closet if you want.
So do you think you need to find a balance of your energies before that or as it's happening?
I think before.
Before.
Yeah, I need to like calm myself down. Stop it. Calm down. Don't get too excited. And then we'll talk about it. Yeah, because I trust my impression or my first impressions, but I ignore them. So now I'm trying to also trust myself, right? So usually my first impression is always right. Always right. And I'm like, oh, let's see what happens. No, we're not seeing what happens. If I'm right, I'm right. Why should I betray myself for that? So, and I take it off of that, as in like, I don't think this way. I don't know how to explain it. Like I trust what I see and I will know if this person will have the capacity to understand me or not. It's rare that people surprise me. I let them surprise me.
You got to let people surprise you.
It's rare. But yeah, no, I would start from the beginning. And then I would die.
Some would say tapping into your intuition is aligning with your feminine side.
Yes. Yeah. And for a long time, I betrayed it. Or I gaslighted myself. Do you say gaslit or gaslighted?
Gaslit. Yeah, that is the past tense. Yeah.
Gaslit myself. So I'm trying not to do that. So being in touch with your feminine is about being open to receiving, which I told you I'm not really good at, but I'm getting better at it. And not feeling guilty about it, Yeah. And not feeling like you have to give something in return. And also power and stillness, which I don't know if you know, I'm not so good at it. Just in case you didn't notice. Like for the longest time, if I don't go get it, no one else.
Yeah.
And apparently there's, again, a lot of content, a lot of conversation about it. It's about women's ancient power is in doing nothing, as in like just sitting, not doing nothing, just sitting there and getting everything they wanted.
Oh, I wish.
And I was like, no way. I really, really did not trust it. But it's been happening.
I aspire.
Sorry, babe. Sorry. That's not for you. That's for me.
I dream.
But I was like, no, that's not going to happen. No way. I don't understand what that means. I don't get it. But again, I've been trying to do that. And things have started just to appear. Just saying. So I'm starting to trust that a little bit more, and your intuition. And it's about allowing for chaos. I'm very chaotic, but I'm very organized as well. You're very chaotic. You thrive on it.
Yeah.
I don't really thrive, but I'm trying to get that also, like allowing the energy to be. Usually I'm very like, no, if it doesn't fit in the box, it's not gonna move. Like it has to fit in. It has to be done. Like, so that is something I struggle with. And what else is there? I think it's being openly expressive. Again, I am very openly expressive, but I watch what I say. Like, I know what I'm saying. It's never going to be like, oh, I did not think about it. No.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of what I'm saying. Sometimes I shouldn't, but I'm very aware of saying it. So yeah, and I'm trying to be less in a survival mode. Yeah. And that comes with patience, because survival, like, if it's not happening now, what does it mean? Anxiety, blah, blah, blah. But no, trying to be more patient with things, trusting things will figure themselves out, which is very hard to do.
Yeah, being in survival mode gives you a clear next action.
Yes.
Right? Like, and it's very methodical. Okay, I need to get from here to here to here to here. I need to move on from this and this and this.
Yeah.
And when that's that dire need to be so progressively forward is not driving you, then you're like, okay, well, what do I go?
I couldn't.
What do I work on?
Yeah.
What do I do now?
I couldn't coast. Coasting has been my worst feelings, But now I'm trying to see, hey, it's the time to figure things out. It's okay. Calm down. And for a long time, I couldn't relax. I couldn't, if I'm on vacation or holidays, I couldn't. I had to have the next thing to work on. I had to have a plan. So now I'm trying to not have a plan. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. But yeah, I'm trying.
I mean, I live off of chaos. Like, chaotic is just...
I don't know how you do it. I honestly, I'm in awe.
It is not everything is chaos. It's chaos in controlled amounts.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, it's chaos in controlled amounts. So everything in my life is not chaotic.
Yeah.
Like my work is not chaotic. Like my home life is not chaotic. But that's why I kind of let everything else kind of just blossom into because I'm like, let's just dance with this and see where it goes.
Like, no, I'm the opposite. So everything around me is organized, but I am chaotic. Like, I don't know. Everything has why do I have to do things that way? So I'm trying to like pace myself. I can't.
I mean, you said stillness. I think that's why I do well with chaos because I just kind of sit in it, and everything else is like around. I'm just like.
I can't. I wish I could do that. No, I'd be like, okay, what's our exit strategy? What's our exit? How the fuck are we gonna stop this? Yeah, it's a mix. Let's say. No, but when I was told that, so apparently, I've always known my name means. Don't laugh at me. My name means like level-headed, like having a good head on my shoulders. I do. Okay.
It means what?
Having a good head on your shoulders, like level-headed, like level-minded.
Level-headed?
Is that what it's called?
Level-headed is the term.
Yeah, so I said.
But that's what your name means, is
yes,
level-headed?
Yes. Don't make fun of me. It is that. I am that most of the time. Not the times that you've seen me.
Just most of the time.
Other times, okay? But the other meaning, which I didn't actually know about, meant stillness.
Okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's a good thing to practice.
Yeah.
Just practice being still.
You just won't shut up.
You should try and do that.
I'm trying really hard. It's really hard, okay?
So how do you think you should balance?
I don't know. Because it takes a lot of grounding. It takes a lot of awareness because it's very easy for me to just default, you know? And also it takes a lot of me telling myself that I'm safe, you know, because why am I defaulting to masculinity is to save myself or to protect myself. So I'm trying to literally tell myself every day, I've survived, I'm okay, I made it this far. And I think the moment that someone told me, hey, you survived, it made me cry. And like, I didn't realize that I was carrying that with me. And I didn't realize the extent of it. Like, it doesn't serve me anymore. So it's trying to do that. So once the awareness is in, I think it's easier to control and to be observant of why am I acting a certain way? Why am I losing my shit in a certain way? Like one time I was trialing when do I bring what out, and it was a work call and it was a negotiation.
Okay.
And it was an internal work call. So at one point my default is like, where's this? Why is that? What do you mean? No, you know, very aggressive.
Yeah.
And I was in a call with 3 men and my colleague, and everyone became aggressive. And usually when I do that, people back off sometimes, but here it wasn't working. And then I was like, but really, like, do we want to waste time? Like, come on, are you sure? It changed within a second, and their reaction changed. They wanted to help. They promised me shorter timelines. Don't worry about it. We'll get it done. I'm like, it worked.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm seeing real life examples of balance.
Yeah.
You know, so now I'm trying to be aware, like, when do I bring that out? When do I need it? And should I need it? Whatever it is, you know? And again, work has become the playground for this because it's been different, you know? With my friends and all of that, like, I don't expect that I have to have a big imbalance or balance because I'm being myself to an extent. But I think, yeah, awareness is the first step.
I mean, you asked what my view of masculinity is, what I think masculinity is. What do you think femininity is?
Oh my God. So I didn't know for a long time. It's about feeling safe and bringing this energy of chaotic energy or energy of chaos and turning it into something. So women are creators in that sense. It's she will do whatever she will create with whatever you give her. So if you give her really negative things, it will turn to maybe more negative things. If you give her more positive things or safety, it will turn into more nurturing, more all of that. I think it is finding power in stillness, and there is some element of community to it. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like a woman connect things, or feminine energy is about connecting things.
Okay.
Male energy is about providing things. I don't know if that makes sense. And I don't want to go into typical gender norms because I've been against them for so long. But now I understand them a little bit better. So the male energy is about bringing that container, and the female energy is about filling it up.
Interesting.
I think it's WIP, you know.
Okay, yeah, I can't really complain, but the gender role perspective has always been very not silly to me, but just there are so many people and half of them have to all act the same way as the other half. And I'm like, that's so silly to me that by gender you have a role. Even in, I mean, talking about like family and siblings, that in the order of birth you have a role. And it's like, but is that best practice?
What's a case study?
Like,
I was the same thinking as you are, right now. But again, I don't know how spiritual you are, but from a spiritual perspective, apparently your order does have a spiritual purpose, but it's not necessarily the way we defined it, you know. And apparently, if you have to have lost a sibling, you might be in imbalance from a spiritual perspective because you kind of believe that you have to take on their role, but everyone comes with a role. But it's not what I think we built in. In the previous episode, I do talk about the roles. Why we're doing what we do. I think we misunderstood that assignment and ruined it and butchered it. I agree with you. I don't think a gender should have a role, but I think it's the balance. You know, I used to be against men providing blah blah and everything 50-50, but I started realizing that it's not about materialistic providing. It's about feeling that this person provides you safety, and that safety can mean different things, and that's up to you. You know, some people maybe who grew up in poverty, for them it's financial safety. Someone who just needs some more nurturing. You know, it mean different things, but I think like having both elements of secure energies are important. And again, even within the dynamic, you need to show the different parts.
Yeah.
You know, a man doesn't have to buy, no, but it's about, do you make her feel safe? And then this is where allow her to bring out the energy out.
Yeah. If
that makes sense.
I get, yeah. I mean, I think that's something that should apply to everyone, right?
Yes.
Like your partner should make you feel safe regardless, and you may feel security in a different way.
Yes,
and
I agree.
It is up to your partner to provide that sense of security, whatever it may be, whether it be financially or emotionally.
Yeah,
it's their role to make that safe environment for the two of you to coexist and thrive in.
Yes, I agree.
I think it's just where I find the part of it is I just hate being told I'm supposed to be like this because of how I was born and what I came out as.
I agree.
I think that I just personally think that is a very diminutive way to see someone. Yeah. And it's most oftentimes it will be in a relationship dynamic if whoever the provider is, because it is viewed as a masculine thing, if the man in that relationship isn't doing that, he's less of a man.
Yes.
And if the woman is doing it, then that's too masculine of her.
Yeah.
So both people lose.
Yes, that's
in that
true.
sense.
And it's unfair.
Yeah. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
But it takes a lot of unlearning from both sides, you know, to believe that a man's role is not necessarily about being financially whatever, and your role is not that, and you're not reducing yourself if you are the breadwinner, but it's acknowledging what you need from each other, you know, and what do you need to unlock that balance or whatever. But that's a lot of unlearning, because from what I saw is, at least until people unlearn that, if the man does not feel like they're masculine enough with providing, even if it's psychological, it ends up looking like they feel emasculated, right?
Oh, yeah, it's that ego and that inferiority complex comes in. Like, and then if you would ask any guy who makes less than his partner, they for sure don't feel good about it. and I know that's a catch-all. I'm sure there are plenty who do, but as a general rule of thumb, that does make you feel less than. I need ultimately a partner who is male and female. I need both. Like I need to because we gotta. Otherwise, it's not gonna.
You don't want to just keep spending on them and doing everything for them, and they're just being there.
Yeah. Like because after it's all said and done, if you strip away the performative things, what are you doing for that person?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if we just take out all the things that you may be supposed to do as the woman in the relationship, raise kids, take care of the house. Okay, if you don't have kids and you have a maid and you have and everything's just done and someone cooks, okay, so then you're sitting there doing what? Yeah. And if everything's taken care of and you know, what else are you really just doing, right? Like you get into I can literally write a check for my part in this relationship. I pay for it. I paid for it. I paid for the house. I paid for the car. I paid so I don't have to do anything else because I paid for it. And it's like,
then what are you? Or this is an ATM.
Yeah, like that's not.
A lot of men believe that's their role, and a lot of women believe that's their role as well.
That comes from that masculine and feminine are diametrically opposed, and they're not. Like they have to be blended together. And you ever say, or like being around very feminine women bothers you? It bothers me.
Oh, really?
Because I'm like, why are you so like this?
I don't know.
Like, yeah, it's like it's because it's almost. It feels strange. Like it's kind of like alien.
Do you feel it's fake?
It feels performative.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even very masculine men, you know, macho looking, testosterone-filled men.
Yeah, and that's also performative.
Yeah,
you know,
that is
like
very performative.
it's very performative. You know, it's and both sides rub me the wrong way.
Yeah, me too. Like it triggers me when I see men who act like that. It triggers me a lot. I'm like, why do you need to do that? Like, what are you trying to say to who?
It's very quick to, at least for me, to unpack what a man is overcompensating for.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Yeah. Like if you walk in the door, like, oh, okay. Like you can kind of give he's overcompensating for 3 things very clearly based off how he's acting.
With women, it's a bit harder.
It's so much harder
because
to be like, what's wrong with you? Like, I can't see from your face what your trauma is, but it's there.
It's present.
And it's going to take me a while to figure out.
Yeah.
And by then it's too late.
It's too late, exactly. Even for me, I'm like, oh, we're friends now.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to be friends
And
anymore.
then for me, it would be,
we're married.
the facade has gone down.
Yeah.
And you're like,
what's there?
Oh no, this is a completely different person.
Yeah.
I was getting the act, and then now we're backstage, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't real.
It's really messy.
Yeah, like, oh, there's a lot under here.
Yeah. Do you know this? Have you seen this? Did you walk here?
So I am trying to get better at not ignoring red flags.
That's more feminine of you. You need to.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know.
They're not a challenge.
I don't know.
Flags are not a challenge. Do not go after them.
I can fix him.
do not collect red flags. That's not the kind of game we're in.
All red flags just look like flags when you're wearing rose-colored glasses.
Wow. Is that an Instagram post you read?
I read it in a caption this morning.
But I agree. It's true. It's true.
And, like you want to believe that it's not.
Yeah.
But you're clearly seeing
and as we said last time, like girls think, oh, I can fix him. I can change him. No, babe, run.
Yeah, run, leave, go fast.
Leave what he said. He was not trying to make conversation.
No.
Yeah.
That was not funny. He's really a terrible person.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up, is there anything you'd like to say to your younger self who was trying to figure out their identity?
You
have like 2 minutes.
There are so many things I would say to my younger self. The main thing I would say to my younger self is, you're right. You're not weird. You're not wrong. You're not crazy. You're not so different that no one will understand you. They will. You will find your tribe. You will find your people. You will find your community. Your family won't go anywhere. Your friends won't go anywhere. You will suffer less than you are making yourself suffer now.
Were you dramatic? Not teasing.
Of course I was dramatic.
Of course you are. That's a good message.
Yeah. The pain you are self-inflicting is worse than what is actually out there.
Oh, okay. That's very nice.
Yeah.
Good job.
I wish you could hear that.
Aw. Well, thank you for starting my season with I would like fun, deep conversation. I would like to say that. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. This is great.
And what about you? Where are you in your energy balance? Are you more into your feminine? Are you more into your masculine? Do you care? What are you doing to find that balance, if anything? Are you in survival mode? Or are you finding a great time in accepting what the universe is giving you? I sound like a very cliche girl. But no, really, like, what's your journey in discovering who you are? And are you really showing most or all of you as comfortably as you want to? Tune in for the next episode, and thank you for staying with us.